All right. Good day, everyone. We are so excited to have you here as part of our webinar. This is actually a kickoff of an 8-part series with Alex Martin, who we're so fortunate to have as part of our presentations this year. This is a special series supporting provider well-being, so we're very excited to have everyone here. This is called Self-Care Support for Providers, but you'll hear more from Alex about what all that means. And I'm here from the Northwest MHTTC, which it stands for the Mental Health Technology Transfer Center Network. And so just want to explain a little bit of who we are. We're a SAMHSA-funded training and TA center. We are located for, obviously, folks in the Northwest, but we are a nationwide network. So if you ever have interest in events like this, there are events all over the country from all over the centers, including 2 specialty centers, the American Indian Alaska Native MHTTC, as well as the National Hispanic and Latino MHTTC. So lots of events going on all the time. We are from the Northwest MHTTC, and so just to share a little bit about us, we are specifically geared towards sharing evidence-based practices for serious mental health issues like assertive community treatment, cognitive behavioral therapy for psychosis, but we do training and topics all over subjects that are relevant to the workforce, because our workforce is very broad, as you know, and so includes anyone that works with folks in any kind of mental health center setting or working on mental health issues in any capacity. We offer training, online courses, and resources. So we have newsletters, an online resource library, and you can see in our website later if you want to learn more about us. You might have heard about us from our newsletter. We have a lot of subscribers at this point. Wanted to always make sure we are mindful of our language. And so everyone here has heard this information before, but we want to remind you on a couple of notes, speaking, with kind of person first language and thinking of, not as labels and non-judgmental, but also that this is being recorded. So if you are speaking about a work setting or a situation, just being mindful that this is being recorded and we don't want any HIPAA violations during our webinar. Housekeeping. Sorry, this formatted a little strange. We are trying to keep this as secure as possible, but if something really wild and wacky happens and we have to shut down the webinar, Zoom bombing occurs or something, we've never had it happen, but we will certainly follow up with you if something strange like that happens. You are all muted by default because it's such a large group, and your video is off. We are recording, I've mentioned that. We are working on getting the slides. Those may have actually been posted in the chat already if I'm looking. Yep, okay. So if you scroll up in the chat, you'll see a link to our event today, and actually a PDF of the slides are there now. And then certificates, you will get an email. It's not the prettiest email, but you get an email if you so choose to pursue a certificate. It's not formal CEUs, but you can often use those for those purposes. All right. Evaluation. So if you've ever worked with a SAMHSA-funded TTC before, this is our bread and butter. This is how we show SAMHSA. We've done these events, so we really appreciate your evaluation. We'll thank you ahead of time. We'll put a link in the chat, and you just click on that. They will ask you for a sort of personal code. Use whatever letter, number, or that you want. We don't care, but we just want to get your feedback. So it helps the presenter. It helps us as a center. We really appreciate it, and it should just take you just a couple of minutes to get through. Asking questions. So today, because we have a very large group, 150 attendees alone, what we'll want you to do is use the Q&A box. So down here, you'll see Q&A. And so if you can please put your question there, either I might try to answer it quickly if it's something just real simple, but if it is something that Alex wants to discuss later, I will make sure and queue it up and get to that when we get to the question and answer discussion. There may be a chance we don't get to much of that time. And so if we don't, we will get back to you with any specific questions that you have. Using chat, just a reminder, this is for our team only. You can't chat amongst each other. It's just very, it's hard with this many people. But if you have a tech issue or a question for our center staff, happy to answer those. Support and disclaimer. We need to put the slide in here. There you go. SAMHSA didn't approve of any of these words, and that's okay. Today's presenter, I just want to say, I've known Alex for, a couple of decades probably in the field here in Seattle, and I'm very, very grateful to have Alex join us today. Alex has been in the field for over 20 years, drawn to the LGBTQ LGBTQI2 community plus in their mid-20s working for a national HIV prevention study. A lot of their professional career spent at Seattle Counseling Services, and then also worked as a variety of roles there, has a Master's of Social Work degree and a lot of mental health and social justice advocacy, and more recently has started a private practice to address the special needs of the LGBTQ I2 plus and BBIPOC, Black, Brown, Indigenous, and people of color, particularly queer and trans Asian and Pacific Islander people. And so you'll find that I think in today's session and future sessions, there'll be just a very unique voice and perspective. And I'm so grateful that Alex could join us. So without further ado, I'll turn it over. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina. Good day, everyone. Once again, I just want to express my gratitude to Christina and her team in welcoming me into the Northwest MHTTC family. So today we're going to be talking about self-care support, what it smells like. Just so you can navigate this with me, this journey with me, for folks that are particular about time, we've already done the welcome and introduction, and then I will proceed with doing and sharing with you a grounding exercise for about 5 minutes. And then we'll get into the meat of things. That will be the big chunk of our time together. And then hopefully we should have time for question and answer live during this webinar. And I always like to make sure that we spend time at the end to express, again, gratitude and to say a proper goodbye. Oftentimes when I attend seminars and webinars myself, we're often rushing to end things. I don't know about you, but sometimes that can be very stressful for myself, even if it's just that last second. So we want to make sure that we do that with all of you. All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and what a great day, everyone. Happy Inauguration Day. Once again, my name is Alex Martin. I primarily use she pronouns, but he and they are okay. I'm a licensed social worker with a concentration in integrated mental health from the University of Washington here in Seattle. And I am a licensed substance use disorder professional in the state of Washington. I spent almost 2 decades, like Christina had mentioned, at Seattle Counseling Service. And for folks that may not be familiar, it's an LGBTQ behavioral health agency. And I recently returned to public health, Seattle and King County, where I worked on a transgender health survey. And I also worked at the isolation and quarantine sites at the beginning of the pandemic. And now I'm working at a high intensity case management HIV clinic at Harborview Medical Center here in Seattle. Also, I have my private practice where I provide consultation and education. I'm honored to share safe space with all of you and hope that this new year will bring comfort and peace in your homes and workplaces. And as we begin our time together, I acknowledge that I am on the traditional land of the Coast Salish people, including the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. I am on the unceded ancestral lands of the Duwamish people who are still here, continuing to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. This is important for me personally to share as an immigrant from the Philippines. And I encourage you to say the name of the land you are on. I recognize from the hellos in the chat that many folks are coming from all over the place. And I encourage you to know and honor the traditional land and its people, past and present, of the native land you and your family have come to settle and make a home. So now I would like to invite all of you for a grounding exercise, a guided mindfulness activity. I hope the images that you see here right now don't make us too hungry to step away. But if you must, again, with the topic of self-care, please follow that gut. This mindfulness meditation activity is designed to assist you and I to explore our inner and outer experiences in the present moment. It is focused on quieting the mind while deepening our awareness of the mind-body connection. So let us begin. Before we enter into this mindfulness practice, let's find ourselves in a comfortable seated position. If you are choosing to sit in a chair, uncross your legs. I'm already finding myself doing the same thing. And place both feet on the floor. Gently move your body as needed to increase your comfort level. Once you settle in, take a deep breath and long exhale while closing your eyes. If you prefer, you may assume a soft gaze. Relaxing into this moment, feel gravity's pull as the weight of your body makes contact with the ground below you. Draw in another deep breath and exhale with a whispered exhaling deeply as you drop into this moment. Repeat this breath one more time. Inhale and a long exhale. Should you notice any bodily sensations, simply take note. You might even say, "Hello, body. I am here with you." Be with your body. It has served you well. And it's time to give your full attention to your body. There is nowhere to go. There's nothing else to do but be with your body. Noticing what you notice, but then letting it go. Good. Now, bring your attention to your feet and legs. Imagining that your feet have grown deep roots into the earth beneath you, the shared earth beneath us. Sense into the feeling of having a strong foundation and deep connection to our earth. Imagine those roots lengthening as your body further relaxes and any unwanted energy or thoughts and gently drain through these roots. If your mind begins to wander, bring your focus back to the flow of your breath. Now, give your belly a gentle embrace. Shift your focus to the core of your heart. If it helps, move your hand over your heart. Allowing your heart to beat in its natural rhythm. You might again find an image or sensation arise, but listen within. Listen deeply. Be with whatever arises. And if your mind wanders, bring your attention back to the flow of your breath. Now shift your focus to the crown of your head as you open your focus to the spaciousness of the sky above. A sky that is unlimited in potential and endless in possibilities, just like you. Taking a gentle breath and exhale, feeling the peacefulness around you and within you. As we complete our time here, gently open your eyes and begin to connect with your surroundings. Pausing for a few moments, take inventory on how you feel. If you made new discoveries during the meditation, any images, voices, sensations, thoughts, or feelings that you feel comfortable expressing, find a moment to write it down on a piece of paper or post-it. And in a few moments, let's come back together. Salamat po. Thank you. One of the primary things that has come up for me while processing and preparing for this webinar is the recognition that all of us are very familiar with the topic. But sometimes we all need a little reminder to take care of ourselves. Remember that you are all experts. We just need a little nudge. So, the first inventory is a self-questionnaire. What is or what are your priorities? And as I enumerate the choices, feel free to close your eyes and visualize them, and or write them down on a post-it or a piece of paper. The choices may be literal to you, or feel free to imagine what they represent for you personally. Let's begin. Air, water, food, shelter, sleep, and clothing. Security, employment, resources, health, property. friendship, intimacy, family, and sense of connection. Respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. Desire to become the most that one can be, that you can be. These choices represent the following categories of physiological needs, safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. By now, I'm certain that these sound very familiar, and although pretty basic and well-known, it is often important to return to basics and keeping things simple and manageable, less stressful, and frankly, less troublesome. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory of motivation which states that 5 categories of human needs dictate an individual's behavior. Again, these needs are physiological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization needs. It is a popular motivation theory that is widely referred to in educational circles. In this theory, Maslow suggested that before individuals meet their full potential, they need to satisfy a series of needs. Maslow proposed that motivation is the result of a person's attempt at fulfilling the aforementioned 5 basic needs. According to Maslow, these needs can create internal pressures that can influence a person's behavior. And further inquiry into this theory reminds us of the 7 basic human needs: air, water, food, shelter, safety, sleep, and in some cases, and hopefully most cases, clothing. Maslow first introduced his concept of hierarchy needs in a 1943 A Theory of Human Motivation paper, and subsequently the Motivation and Personality book. However, Waba and Bridwell wrote, the theory is widely accepted, but there is little evidence to support it. They state that in the review of the available research, they found that there was little empirical support suggesting that needs exist in a hierarchy at all. Maslow's theory also does not account for differences between individualist and collective cultures. Other critics have also suggested that the original hierarchy does not account for the fact that needs tend to change based on the situation. Can I say Corona? So in 2010, a team of psychologists attempted to modernize Maslow's hierarchy. Their renovated version of the classic needs pyramid was published in an issue of Perspectives on Psychological Sciences. They've updated Maslow's original 5 to 7, which leads with the following. Parenting takes the top spot, followed by mate retention and mate acquisition. Now, personally and professionally, I'm not a fan of this new ideology for many reasons. One, it excludes a significant population of our community. However, and nonetheless, basic physiological needs remain. And I would dare to include self-care as a basic physiological need, as an updated addition to this well-respected concept. And I hope that you all agree. So, what is self-care? And before we dig deeper, I'll tell you what self-care is not. Self-care is not selfish. But I'm very curious how all of you define and interpret self-care. So with the help of our folks at MHTTC, Northwest MHTTC, there is a poll in the chat box. You can also text it. So please type into this link what self-care is for you in one word, if you can. And it might be a challenge, but please type in one word that best describes self-care for you. You may answer as many times as you like and as time allows. and we'll give it a short few seconds. Once again, click on that link or text AMARTIN 292. Text it 22333 to join, then type your message if you're more the smartphone fella. All right. So let's see.
Alex, I know you're probably noticing this, that folks are just putting it in the chat, which is
Yep.
okay. It's just they can't see each other's. And so we are going to do this a couple more times. So hopefully maybe we could give people a chance to try the link out for the next rounds. But in the meantime, I know they're saying a lot of great stuff in the chat.
Let's see. There it is. I'm seeing, oh, yoga's a big one. I'm seeing gardening. Peace. Peace was one of the first ones, and it's up there. I'm seeing snuggle, wife, archery, kickboxing. Very nice. Self-love. It looks like our top three are yoga, gardening, and peace. I think that might be everybody. I'm also seeing nurture. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's make it a little bigger here. This should be the big one. Oh, no. We'll just stick to this one. All right. It looks like it's yoga, gardening, and peace. Thank you, everyone. So we'll clear that one. Yoga, gardening, and peace. Oh, I also saw Netflix there. Thank you, everyone. All right. So according to social workers, particularly at the University of Buffalo School of Social Work, self-care is an essential social work survival skill. They are activities and practices we can engage in on a regular basis, and I saw yoga in there, to reduce stress and maintain and enhance health and well-being. Self-care is necessary for effectiveness and success in honoring professional and personal commitments. So for today's topic, we mean professional wellness as it relates to self-care. In the instance, the term self-care is too informal or casual or unprofessional sounding. And what is this, the opposite of self-care, you might ask? Well, it's burnout. And burnout can easily occur when we are not practicing self-care, especially when the demands of the job simply become too overwhelming, particularly when there's a pandemic glooming over us. According to the National Association of Social Workers, professional self-care is critical in preventing burnout and maintaining a balanced work and life perspective. We owe it to ourselves, our profession, and our clients to practice self-care. Self-care is necessary for efficacy, which is ideal, and effectiveness in the real world, and success in fulfilling professional and personal commitments and goals. Now, I'm curious as to what self-care looks like for you. So again, type into this link what self-care is for you and what your practices have been in the past or present. And no answer is wrong, so please don't be shy. Let's start with your personal self-care practices. So here are some examples: spa day, right? Mani, pedi, a trip to the salon, exercise, gym, yoga, spin class, Now, I understand because of the coronavirus and the pandemic, a lot of us haven't done these things, but think about some past practices as well. So like hiking, camping, trails, some folks have been doing that even during the pandemic because it allows them to socially distance some more. And again, for some folks, traveling, nature trips, world adventures, again, pre-COVID, of course, setting boundaries, right? Power naps. All right. So let's see those responses. Oh, yep. Nature, walking. I'm seeing music, hiking. I would say walks and walking are the same. Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm seeing a lot of nature. Very good. Very good. All right. So I'm going to clear that one because now let's look at your professional or work-related self-care practices as clinicians, providers, counselors, and therapists. Again, use the same link, or you may text it. So right now, equally, talking. Earlier it was, still talking is the number one. Boundaries, yes. And I'm gonna do a stab at the talking. I'm gonna assume that in a professional setting, this is talking with your colleagues, talking with your supervisor, right? And setting boundaries. I'm also seeing a third one in there, prayer. Wonderful. And I just want to contextualize with prayer. This can be in any religion, in any sect or denomination. Wonderful. Talking is number one. Very good. Wonderful. Boundaries, it looks like from the size, it's boundaries come second and prayer third. Wonderful. I'd like to add that, and did you know that many healthcare professionals are implementing self-care techniques and practices like yoga and meditation for addiction treatment? For example, Dr. Dottie Green uses yoga as a holistic approach to treatment and recovery. And Dr. Leslie Tem uses meditation as an intervention to reduce the risk of relapse in the treatment of substance use. Also, yoga is gaining popularity in the US as a treatment approach. A 2016, not that long ago, a 2016 national poll found that 36.7 million Americans practice yoga. And that's according to the Yoga Alliance and Yoga Journal 2016. And I'd like to quote Dr. Tem. It has been posited that meditation is an antidote to substance use because it enhances attention to the mind and awareness of the behavior of the mind, as well as thoughts and feelings as they occur. So imagine this outcome, not just for our patients and clients, but to ourselves and clinicians alike. Now, I would also like to point out our self-talk. Let's talk about it. The not so positive ones. How many of us have said this to ourselves? I can't do this. Oh, this is crap. This is too much. It's above my skills. But let's focus on the positives. I can do this. I am good enough. Who's awesome? That person staring at me in the mirror, of course. I'm perfect the way I am. All right. Now let's talk about the very curvy and Rubenesque elephant in the room, the negative Nancys. And what do I mean by that? All right. What we just talked about, the negative self-talk. And if you're feeling guilty, it's not too late to switch it, switching it to positive talk. Remember earlier when I mentioned self-care is not selfish? Self-care is also not arrogant. It's simply putting yourself first and foremost. It's about self-respect and self-confidence. For many peeps, it can be so hard to say those things earlier. I can do this. I am good enough. Who's awesome? I'm perfect the way I am. So with me, and I know I can't hear you at the moment because we're all muted except me and our folks at MHTTC, but do this with me, all right? Focus on the positive script right there. So please indulge me, and I invite you to say these words with me. Again, I can do this. I am good enough. And if you've got your smartphone on you, turn on that camera, do the self image thing, and ask yourself, who's awesome? The person staring at me, of course. And lastly, say it with me. I am perfect the way I am. If we can be the harshest critics of ourselves, why not be the best champion and cheerleaders of ourselves? If we have a team around us who compliment us, that's amazing. However, we must also engage wholeheartedly as professionals who have personal lives to practice what we preach. Honestly, we have got to first and foremost take care of ourselves. I often use this example. When putting on an oxygen mask putting on the oxygen mask on yourself before putting it on somebody else. In the event of an emergency, like on an airplane, those few seconds matter critically. You'll be saving more lives if you take care of yourself first. In the words of a very wise philosopher, if you don't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? I believe she goes by RuPaul, Queen of Drag. If you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Now, for some takeaway and some take home kits for you and me, I actually have this hard copy print at my desk. Here are a couple of resources that I have personally found helpful in guiding myself towards self-care, and a kind reminder to prioritize my health and well-being so that I may be there for my patients and clients. You can download a copy of this. This is again through the University of Buffalo School of Social Work, and there's the link. And if I could ask our folks at MHTTC to also add that in the chat box. The other one is the Standards of Self-Care through Traumatology Academy. And there's the link. And an article on self-care amidst the pandemic. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a social worker, so most of my resources are through the National Association of Social Workers. And also keep an eye out for the podcast version of this webinar and the upcoming webinars. And real quick on the second bullet here, around the Traumatology Academy. And it's so especially true right now with the pandemic that we come from a trauma-informed lens. For many folks, you have heard this over and over and over. And for many folks, we mean this as recognizing that all of us come from many histories and backgrounds and even legacies far beyond our personal and professional histories. Sometimes we take with us the historic and systemic histories of our organization, of our agency, but sometimes of our community. And more recently, the trauma of the pandemic, however it has impacted our lives, whether we are working from home or if we are essential workers, we might be at the front lines. And as the vaccines become available, the trauma and perhaps the stress response of when we'll be able to get the vaccine. And for us that have immediate family, whether that's chosen family, being stressed about when our family members have access to the vaccine. And I would even go further back, the risk of being exposed to the virus, whether socially, or the risk that we might take it home to our young ones, the elderly, our partners, our friends. And as I continue to navigate this with all of you, take a deep breath with me once again. I want to be transparent with all of you and recognize that the hour that we are spending together is truly not enough to recognize self-care for providers, for all of us. And I invite you to continue to search for resources, be it on your own through the power of social media and technology, asking peers and colleagues. And I even encourage you, instead of emailing them, call them. Many of us have been isolated, have been quarantined. There is so much power and magic in hearing the voice of our fellow human beings. Thank you. Salamat po. Again, I want to thank our friends and colleagues at Northwest MHTTC, and I'll let Christina facilitate the Q&A. We are good on time. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm still here. I'm just giving the stage and the floor to Christina. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. As you can tell, she has a lot of experience, and just this was what I think many of us needed today for all days. So thank you for all your time and energy and bringing some good thoughts and energy to us today. We do have one question that I will share from Jacqueline. How do you do self-care when you have an environment at home or at work that does not align with self-care, but you have to go there every day? That is not a humorous question. I just find that I think most of us can relate to that. And so how do we continue to do self-care when not a lot of things in our life might be supporting that?
Mm-hmm. What I've often done in situations with those, and I also think about my clinical relationship, therapeutic relationship with my clients pre-COVID when I've done exercises like this. The same breathing exercise that we did earlier, I've modified that where, and it's also so perfect when the office that I was in was near a busy street, and we could hear honking We could hear vehicles driving by, and sometimes we could even hear people just outside the clinical room. And then I prompted with stating, recognizing that we hear the noise outside, but reminding ourselves that the noise is outside. It is not within us. Recognizing the control that we have and the control that we do not have. We may not be able to control the noise on the outside, the stressors on the outside, but what we have control over is our reaction, our thoughts and feelings as we react to the stimuli, the external stimuli of the outside. That we have power over our reaction. And I remind folks that sometimes the space that we have is where we stand. And taking advantage that sometimes what we may need to do is close our eyes. Now, if you believe that that is not enough, then that is not enough. But fighting that negative self-talk, say it to yourselves, close your eyes, and this is my safe space. That the moment I close my eyes, this is my safe space. A good practice that may be helpful too is, I'll assume for the moment that an example might be the environment at home. So another good alternative is our journey home from work to home. Perhaps that might mean driving your car and starting that exercise. Obviously, don't close your eyes as you're driving. But say you're commuting, you're taking advantage of public transportation, and I'm assuming that's going to be noisy, even with the social distancing, practicing that as well. Another way that's helped me as well, and I would say I've been really good at it, and that part is that self-confidence, right? Giving yourself that break, acknowledging the successes that you are practicing. And what I've been really good at is leaving work at work physically and mentally and emotionally. One of the ways that I've been able to do that is paying respect to the stories of what my patients share with me. I often visualize it as leaving my patients' stories, no matter how great, no matter how not so great, and leaving it virtually in that clinical space. And that the moment I walk out of that space, I leave it there. I don't bring it with me into my desk. I do not bring it with me, definitely not at home. And I've seen this earlier. Many folks actually responded with boundaries. And that is amazing. The people are already fully aware of that. And that awareness just needs to be put into practice. Practice it. And it might be awkward at the beginning, but I tell you, keep doing it. Keep doing it. If you're an avid climber, the only way to reach the top is to keep hiking up. If you stop, then you won't reach the top.
Thank
You
you.
must continue. You must continue. And practice, 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 practice.
So we have a number of questions at this point. So I'm going to maybe ask if we can do 45 seconds for each. I don't know how we would accomplish this, but as I said, we will absolutely give Alex these questions and she can get back to us with some answers. We might put a little sheet together. We're just sort of seeing how these sessions are going. So I think there's a number of sort of different questions here. The first is, it sort of relates to what you said, how to do self-care when there's so much worry in life and wanting to get things done. So maybe we could take a short attempt at that one, and then I'll try to get to the others as well.
Sure. Really quickly, just because of time, think positively, think positive. And I know, and I say this to my clients as well, it's easier said than done, but we must start somewhere. And that first step is recognizing it, being aware of it, saying it There's so much power in actually saying it, not just from the thought process of think positively, think positively. Actually say it, think positively, because you're hearing it at the same time. It's very psychosomatic. There's so much power in there. There's so much magic. Let the magic happen.
Well, and I think most of us have realized nothing's normal now. So getting all the things we used to get done is just not, so giving ourselves some generosity and some space.
Yeah. Be kind to yourselves.
Yes. Some generosity for ourselves. Another question, what are some self-care tips for caregivers working with older folks with dementia or other cognitive issues?
Oh, remember the positive, happy stories that they get to share with you, and recognize that that is a gift, the gift of our elders, not just the seniors. I prefer to use the word elder because there's so much respect for their lives, for their histories, and their legacies. Without them, there wouldn't be us. We really need to get back to how we recognize and respect our elders. Focus on those positive stories and narratives that they share with you. Focus on those. Focus on the ones that make you smile. Notice the spark of joy in their eyes, even with those nonverbals. Focus on the positive. Yet again, focus on the positive.
Yeah. And that's tough work no matter what setting we're in, as most of our work is. But here's one that you sort of hinted at before, and a lot of us are dealing with: how to separate work and home when working remotely for many months, some of us 10 months now in Washington State. So how do we have some separation and boundaries at home while working at home?
There's definitely a nuance there, right? And this is unprecedented. Let's acknowledge that. What I've been able to do, and I'll go to what I'm doing now, sequester a corner or a spot in your home. You may have to be literally physical about it. Make sure that where you're facing, so I'm assuming, say you're facing your computer monitor, make sure that where you're facing and whatever is behind that monitor is not a stimuli or stimulus that triggers a negative reaction. It might be a window that maybe faces a tree, or that faces the sky or nature. I would do that. Or if you're limited on that type of perspective, perhaps a painting or artwork that evokes a positive reaction from the heart or even the mind. Or perhaps if you're more minimalist, a wall in your home that maybe has a soft hue, a soft tone, perhaps a soft sky blue color or a soft yellow color, right? Maybe avoid the reds. Oftentimes that's a trigger color, right? And then communicating, if you live with someone or if you have a shared household, communicating the boundaries, right? Setting a schedule, stating, for example, perhaps right now, in this hour that we had spent together, that prior to it, you communicated to the person that you shared the space with that, hey, I need the 11 to 12 Pacific Standard Time to be secure out of respect and love for our shared space. And make it mutual. That's the key. You got to make it mutual. It can't be selfish, right? You got to make it mutual. Now, and if you also have the luxury of having a physical space, absolutely take advantage of it. I mean, I can relate. It was very difficult for my partner and I at the very beginning of the pandemic. And luckily, I have a physical space outside of the home that I can do that. And I know that is a privilege. I know that is a privilege, but that is certainly an option. But where you can't, I would say I would start with those options. And I know there's more options to think of. Yeah.
We have one more question, and I know this is a silly suggestion for all the Lovely suggestions you had, but we used to have transitions between work and home potentially, whether it was a
Mhm.
bus ride or a drive or something. Maybe it was the clothes that we wore, and it's getting a
Mhm.
little fuzzier these days. So
Mhm.
I'm sort of business up top, not so much on the bottom. But it's sort of joking about what transitions or routines can you make for yourself if you are in the home,
Mhm.
sharing with pets and others and kids.
Yeah.
It's a
That
wild
was
ride.
perfect. What you
Yeah,
just
that's
said.
what.
You
So
must absolutely change your clothes. Go to work like you're working. So
it's
you're physically going to work.
yeah,
And we also have these like Zoom sort of a meeting guidelines that we get from work, right? Look professional. And I know some folks have been cheating a little bit. They're only dressing from the waist up. Actually, go all out. Wear all the way from your head to your toes.
yeah,
Wear shoes, comfortable socks.
yeah.
And I know I'm saying it, but I'm actually doing it as well.
That's
And then the other piece is around transition. Step away from the home, either at the beginning and or at the end. Like literally take a walk outside, walk the block. Of course, wear your mask, socially distant. Literally step out of the comfort of your home. Take a deep, fresh breath of air. If you live downtown, good thing we have our mask. So hopefully that's filtered air coming in, right? If you have the advantage of having, say, a rooftop, whether at an apartment building or your own home, go to the rooftop. Take that deep breath in, right?
yeah.
Do those mindfulness exercises, those breathing exercises. That is a simple, cheap way to transition.
Yeah. We have one last, and I know we're out of time, so this might be one we can get back to, but I think a lot of folks can understand this one too. How do you engage with staff if you're in a leadership position
Mhm.
who are struggling, and seem to be headed toward burnout or
Mhm.
compassion fatigue, and you're in some sort of supervisory role? So maybe in 30 seconds, and then I'll
Yes,
get through our last slides.
I'll do bullet words on that,
Yeah.
bullet points on that.
Yeah.
Honesty, transparency, and role modeling.
Yeah.
Practice what you preach. Practice what you preach,
Yeah.
and be and do it with empathy. Do it with
Yeah.
empathy.
And I think that's my role as well, but just honestly asking and being open to how we can support folks, because everybody's got a different situation. So that's, I think, and doing things as a team. I found trying to bring some joy in this often miserable experience at times, and thinking about what's challenging and just naming those. So I want to just thank Alex so much. You've just been just a beacon of light today, along with other lights that we hope for a better 2021. Again, you've heard this. I'll skip this part. Please, we love your feedback. We really want to hear how you enjoyed today's session, or if you had feedback that you would like to see something different. Please connect with us. You can find all of our information on our website. And just thank you again. And I hope everyone has a beautiful rest of their day. And thanks everyone for joining us. Appreciate it. We hope to see you in the next time. All right. Thank you so much.
Salamat and thank you.